Last week, reports emerged in local dailies in Kashmir. In fact, one particular daily, reports emerged that Centre was actively considering restoration of statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. The reports also said that there was a discussion going on in the North Bloc whether the statehood restoration needs fresh elections in Jammu and Kashmir, or the statehood could be restored without calling for fresh elections. This particular report set rumor mills abuzz, and it also created a lot of excitement among political parties and people in Jammu and Kashmir. Remember, Jammu and Kashmir lost its statehood when BJP made the Article 370 move on 5th of August 2019, splitting Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories and taking away limited autonomy that the former state in fact, enjoyed under Article 370. The BJP on the floor of the parliament, however, pledged that the statehood would be restored to Jammu and Kashmir at an appropriate time. The revocation of Article 370 and demotion of Jammu and Kashmir from a state to a union territory was challenged by several petitioners. The Supreme Court upheld the decision to abrogate Article 370. However, the Supreme Court asked Centre when it was going to restore statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. The Centre's representative assured that the statehood would be restored, but it did not give a timeline. Ever since, it has been more than 4 years, because the BJP had linked restoration of statehood to delimitation and elections in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Delimitation was completed in 2022 and elections were held last year. That particular election was very polarized. In fact, election became very communal in the sense that the BJP won all Hindu majority seats in Jammu and Kashmir, most of them in Jammu, in fact all the seats in Jammu, and National Conference emerged very strong, sweeping most of the seats in Kashmir and parts of Muslim majority Jammu. National Conference along with the Congress thus formed the first elected government post Article 370 revocation. However, it's been more than 7 months for the elected government to have assumed office, but there is still no talk of restoration of statehood. With these reports emerging in local daily in Kashmir that Centre was considering restoration of statehood, setting speculations that perhaps power would return back to the elected government, Jammu and Kashmir would be a state, but perhaps the statehood would have to wait because of the fact the Centre's priority for now seems security, development, and especially in the wake of Pahalgam terror attack that left 26 people dead. And then we also saw that India launched Operation Sindoor to retaliate against Pahalgam attack, leading to hostilities between India and Pakistan that continued for 4 days, resulting in death and destruction in border areas. So what are the chances of Jammu and Kashmir statehood being restored? First, if the Centre has to restore statehood to Jammu and Kashmir, it will have to once again introduce a bill similar to Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act that split Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. A similar bill will have to be introduced, and the Centre will have to explain why it wants to restore statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. Especially, it will have to mention that the security situation has improved to the point that the statehood needs to be restored, and the power will now have to go back to the elected representatives. But for now, there is no clear sign from Centre, especially from the BJP, that anything like that is happening closed doors or in open. There is no clear sign. It's quite clear that the BJP operates very stealthily when it comes to important issues. For example, when Article 370 was removed, perhaps only a few people knew. So in this case also, it's only about the Home Minister and the Prime Minister of India who would be in the know of things. But despite the fact that sources within political parties say that they have not received any indication, including those from the BJP. Second, if the BJP decides to restore statehood, it will be the biggest loser. Observers argue the BJP would be the biggest loser, because if Umar Abdullah's government is handed over statehood, it will strengthen Umar Abdullah's government, it will strengthen national conference, it will also benefit the regional parties, but it will not benefit the BJP in any way. On the contrary, the BJP, which is opposition in Jammu and Kashmir, it will play the role of opposition, but the party will have no power. Umar Abdullah will command authority and influence, and because of which he will be in a position to come good on election promises, and he will be able to give relief to people, thereby galvanizing support for the national conference, and in which case the BJP would be a loser. There is a chance that perhaps in Jammu also, which is the stronghold of the BJP, the national conference will improve its standing and extend its reach to BJP-influenced areas. The third important issue is the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir post Operation Sindoor. Remember, the center has said that Operation Sindoor has been paused. It has not ended. So how is it that the center will explain and justify restoring statehood when technically India has paused Operation Sindoor, it has not ended, thereby saying that the situation, thereby saying that there could possibly be more retaliation from India in case there is a terror attack. So in such a situation, is there a possibility that the center would restore statehood? The third thing is that tourism, infrastructure development is the key priority of BJP post Article 37, and many of these projects have not fructified to the point that can be said that to the point that the BJP can say that it has been able to change things on ground in terms of infrastructure and development. Though massive assistance continues to pour in the form of thousands of crores from center, from the surface transport, and Surface Transport Ministry recently announced more than 10,000 crores to build important infrastructural projects, roads, tunnels, bridges. We also know the center has successfully started a rail service from Jammu and Kashmir to the rest of the country. For the first time, we saw that rail link connecting Kashmir with the rest of the country has been successful, and major projects on this rail link, Srinagar, Udhampur, Baramulla rail link, like Chenab rail bridge, which is the highest rail bridge in the world. Then we have some of the longest tunnels, T15, T11 and Pir Panjal tunnel have been completed. The train service, the Vande Bharat train, is now plying between Srinagar to Katra and all the way from Katra to Delhi. So some major infrastructural projects have been definitely completed, but a lot of projects are still to fructify, still to reach their stage where it can be said that the center has been successful in completing major infrastructural projects. So these projects still need some time to mature. The other thing is, what would happen to the BJP's ideological agenda? Remember, BJP since 1947 has been opposed to Jammu and Kashmir's special status. The BJP has been saying that because of autonomy and the special status that Jammu and Kashmir enjoys, this special status and this limited autonomy that Jammu and Kashmir enjoyed, Article 370, was basically breeding separatism. So they argued that this had to go because Jammu and Kashmir had to fully integrate. While the Article 370 has been removed, Jammu and Kashmir, most of the laws that apply to rest of India are now applied to Jammu and Kashmir also. We also saw people who felt discriminated in Jammu and Kashmir, especially the West Pakistan refugees, the Valmikis, the Gorkhas, are now enjoy equal rights. They can vote, they can buy land, and they can also apply for government jobs. That is all fine, but what about the main agenda of the BJP to ensure that people from rest of the India come and settle in Kashmir? And that has been ensured by change by changing the domicile law. So anybody who has been living in Kashmir for the last 15 years can now attain local domicile, can apply for jobs, land, businesses, and can take part in elections. But this is something that is still in the works. We know the BJP, we know in the assembly last year, in fact this year, sorry, the assembly was informed that 83,000 non-locals have been provided domicile certificates in Jammu and Kashmir. However, sources say the number is higher because this 83,000 figure is only for the last 2 years, but you have to understand that this law that was introduced, the new domicile law that was introduced, it was started from taking effect from 2020. So more, maybe it could be double the number that that was discussed in assembly, but it could be more. So the BJP's ideological agenda still is in the works. What would happen to that? Because an elected government with a statehood is likely to reverse several laws that the BJP has implemented in Jammu and Kashmir. That would be a setback to BJP's ideological agenda. Above all, BJP, by conceding power to a regional party after restoring statehood, runs the risk of losing ground not only in Jammu but also in Kashmir, where it has been making a serious push to woo people and at least register some presence. What would happen to that? Observers say, what would happen to that? So all in all, there are many issues, legal, administrative, political, but the biggest issue is that the BJP is not perhaps ready to concede power to elected government by restoring statehood and run the risk of getting sidelined. So while the chances of statehood restoration is very much possible, but given the factors, especially in the light of what has happened in Jammu and Kashmir post for Article 370, observers say the restoration of statehood is possible, but it's not probable, largely because the decision lies with the BJP. When they would think that most of their goals that they wanted to achieve in Jammu and Kashmir by abrogating Article 370 have been achieved. So it's the call that the BJP will have to take the call when to restore statehood. Perhaps that's why the BJP has been repeatedly saying that the statehood would be restored to Jammu and Kashmir at an appropriate time. And when is the appropriate time? Only the BJP knows.